Alabama's the team I'm most worried about after week one. Is it over for Kalen DeBeor? Is that a fair question to ask? Am I overreacting from week one? We'll talk about Florida State and how much they deserve credit for that beatdown against the Alabama Crimson Tide. But is it over? Is it fair to say that the dynasty is over? Yes. That's a simple question to answer. I don't think you're going to get much pushback from even Alabama fans that the dynasty is done. You could argue that as soon as Nick Saban retired, it was done. You could make the argument that Kalen DeBoer is disappointed in aspects that you didn't think were going to be a problem. Effort. Actually putting effort to go find and seek the football. Because that was an embarrassment in what we saw in Tallahassee. An embarrassment. There's no way around it. I can't imagine what film room is for the Alabama players. Running the football has been a problem with Alabama for the past 2 years. Ever since Kalen DeBoer has been the head coach, running the football has been a problem. And then the offensive line gets projected as one of the best offensive lines in the country. And then you have Caden Proctor, a potential top 10 pick, looking like prime Evan Neal, giving up the most pressures in college football for week one. Kalen DeBoer coming to Alabama was getting the keys of a Ferrari. He was seen as a winner. He won, I believe, at Fresno State. He won at Washington. And then obviously he gets to Alabama. And the question that maybe diehard South SEC fans still have the notion of, you got to live and breathe the SEC. You're not going to be able to recruit in the South. You're taking this kid from Washington up in the Northwest. He's not going to be able to recruit down here. And then Alabama goes and gets like a number 1 overall class and some of the most 5 stars you've ever seen for a high school recruiting class. So that question got answered. It wasn't going to be the talent acquisition because all the infrastructure and the winning is there. And Kalen DeBoer was living off the merit of, my resume speaks for themselves. I can win virtually anywhere. What is surprising to me is the culture. Because it was one thing to have the lack of effort. And maybe if this was year 1, it would be a bad look. It's even worse that it's in year 2. You've been selling that last year was an anomaly. Losing to Vanderbilt. Nick Saban would never have done that. I mean, obviously, I believe he lost to UL Monroe in his first year, but with the infrastructure wasn't like what it was with Alabama back then versus now. It's comparing apples to oranges here. You lose to Michigan when you had all those NFL players there while they couldn't throw the forward pass. You lose to Oklahoma on the road, and that one you could chalk up to turnovers. And Jalen Milroe got so much blame for last season. And myself included, chalked it up to the fact that Kalen DeBoer, the time that he got hired was a very odd point in the college football calendar. That's a mess in of itself. We could talk about 8 minutes about how bad the college football calendar is, and it's making steps to get better. But Kalen DeBoer was in a tough spot. He couldn't just come in with a real force of what this culture is going to be, knowing that those players could have easily hopped back into the portal. He had to retain as much talent as possible to salvage what year 1 was going to be, which was a 9-4 season. But what shocks me is they had an entire offseason to fix these issues, and it's becoming evidently clear that Alabama has a penalty issue, they are undisciplined, and they have an effort problem. There's clip after clip after clip that you can find online of Bray Hubbard just jogging like it's a Sunday stroll. Not a care in the world. Yeah, go ahead, run past me for 15 yards. I don't care. An effort is not something you could just fix in a week. And even if you can fix in a week, it's not something that you're going to be able to fix for an entire season. Effort is something that you have to go into the season with. You hear all the noise and narrative about Florida State. They go 2-10. They're going to, come and beat up on Alabama. Nick Saban ain't here to save you no more. Tommy Castellanos chirping. And you are going to go through SEC media days talking about it will be addressed, and you put up an effort like that. You're going to have to do a turnaround that's virtually more impressive than what Ohio State did last year, because Ohio State got punched in the mouth at the end of last year against Michigan and it was over. It seemed like the season was dead in the water. Time to fire Ryan Day. It seems like the season's dead in the water for Alabama. It's time to fire Kalen DeBoer. And you're going to have to restart your engine and go through an entire season, whereas Ohio State, they just had to go through the college football playoff, which was 4 straight really good football teams, but it's not as many games. And the thing is you could probably see a 4-game streak of real good, motivated Alabama football. But what happens when they get punched in the face again? Can they put another performance of what we saw against Florida State? I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. It would be one thing if it was turnovers. It would be one thing if maybe Ty Simpson didn't play that good, but all the other areas were fine. They played clean football. Ty Simpson in his first road start in a very tough spot. Florida State was better than we expected. I can live with that. I could still have hope for a potential SEC championship, a national championship, which is the expectation with a talented team that Alabama has. But effort, that's not something that can be fixed in a couple weeks. And it's not something I have faith is going to be fixed for the length of an entire season, plus a college football playoff run. And I blame Kalen DeBoer for a lot of it. Before we move off of it, let's look at their schedule coming up. They play Louisiana Monroe. Funny enough, we mentioned them. They play Wisconsin at home. Then they go to UGA. You can't have a lack of effort against UGA. And then that game, I fully expect them to be amped up, highly motivated, energized, which is completely different than what we saw with Nick Saban, where it was a business trip. There wasn't this wave of emotions. You feel it with Kalen DeBoer, where there's this wave of emotions. You're going to have these incredible highs and you're going to have these really bad lows. Then they play Vandy. And if you have a lack of effort against Vandy, we've seen the result. And then you play at Mizzou, a run-first football team. And if you have a lack of effort there, that could be a trap game. Alabama's the team I'm most worried about after week 1.